Maaliwalas na araw to all our viewers. This is Amy Mantaño, your host for this episode entitled Your Face, Your Destiny. Our guest speaker for this episode is Sister Rivka Rogacion. She is a religious of the Good Shepherd, Philippines, a registered social worker, an author, a trainer, and a certified public accountant before she entered the convent. She has a master's in social work from the University of the Philippines. She has been in the field of social development for the past 29 years. She is known for her work in peer counseling. She was the first Catholic nun to occupy the position of Dorothy Cadbury Fellow at the Silly Oak Colleges, Birmingham, England. She will be sharing with us today a new paradigm in understanding oneself, which is very applicable for our personal and professional development. Get ready to listen and list down key takeaway.
Maaliwalas na araw, Sister Rivka.
Maaliwalas na araw, Ami.
Yes, so Sister Rivka, my first question for you. Can you tell us and our viewers about your latest book entitled Your Face, Your Destiny?
When we see a person, this person's behavior is sometimes explained by his family background or heredity or an environment that he grew up in, the childhood traumas he must have experienced, past experiences, his socio-political economic status, training and education, religious beliefs, regional, racial, ethnic beliefs, gender, zodiac sign, his peer group, or his birth order, or when he cannot talk to an elderly person, we say there is a generation gap. I call these explanations as nurturance factor. Essence shifts to nature. It's a phenomenological personality indicator that I based on 28 participants in 35 years of workshops in 14 countries. The essence is transgenerational. The apo and the lolo who belong to the same essence might have the same behavior. It's transgender. The man and the woman who belong to the same essence will have the same qualities. So essence cannot accept the feminine, masculine indicators. Transracial, the Black, the African, the Italian, the British, the Filipino, if they belong to the same essence, they will have the same behavior. So it's actually a paradigm shift from all known personality theories. What is essence? It is everything about the person. It includes a physical or outer reality, an inner reality or psycho, and a spiritual aspect that integrates the two. What does physique include? We see a person and we notice the bone and muscles of this person, her facial expression, the skin and hair texture, the voice timbre, the vocabulary she uses, her style of speaking, body language, mannerisms, and gait. All these factors can be seen in a person. We move to the psycho. Within the person would be his thinking processes, how he processes data, emotional states, instincts, urges, drives, energy level, values, and attitudes. All these are within the person's psycho. Then we have the spiritual aspect of the person. And by spiritual, I do not mean organized religion. By spiritual, I mean a relationship with an ultimate other that the person considers as creator and Lord of all. And that this person allows this ultimate other to penetrate one's darkness so that the light can come in. Where does essence come from? It comes from the giver of life. In the Bible, we read, I shaped you in the womb of your mother. Essence begins from the moment of conception. This is a child that I predicted, whose essence I predicted while while her mother was conceiving of her. So it begins from the very moment of conception, and we observe that the mother behaves according to the child's essence. This is Pomposa, and she has two children. In her first, Pomposa is actually very friendly, very exterior oriented, very sociable. In her first pregnancy, she felt she did not like to go out. She did not like to socialize. All she wanted to do was to do her sewing and housekeeping. And the baby that came out from that particular pregnancy was Agnes. And Agnes is not sociable. She wants to be just by herself doing something. In her second pregnancy, Pomposa was very much herself, sociable and friendly. And the child of that pregnancy is Cherise, who is of the same essence as Pomposa. We get the face of the essence. Agnes went through an essence seminar, and she met a person in the group who has the same essence as hers. Agnes looks more like this person than her mother, Pomposa. Persons of the same essence look alike. This is Joseph. He has two sons, Tim, who does not belong to the same essence as Joseph's, and Patrick, who has also a different essence from Joseph's. I gave a retreat to a group of theologians in Seoul, and one of them came out having the same essence as Joseph. When Joseph's wife saw this, she said, when Joseph was this age, he looked very much like him. Twins are not expected to be of the same essence. They sometimes do not look alike. Even if their faces look, well, they have different faces. And I'd always ask the group in my seminars, who do you think is aggressive and who do you think is more passive? Of course, this one is more passive and this one is aggressive. You can see by the way they hold themselves. Even conjoined twins have different essences. In this case, this twin is the dependent one, and this one is the aggressive one. So it is this one who makes decisions as to where they will go or where he will ambulate. And he brings this one with him. This is the Aguilar twin. It was discovered that their skulls are not attached to each other. So Mary John Hopkins Hospital the doctors grew muscles in between the skulls and cut it. Now they are already separated. Conjoined twins who do not look alike. Even quadruplets will not have the same essence. This one seems to be out of this world. This one seems to be reflecting. This one is observing. And this one is ready for action. They were in the same, they were in the womb at the same time. Essence as a continuum. It has gifts, and when the gifts are pushed beyond tolerable limits, they become compulsions. And when it is pushed some more, they become neurosis. And when pushed some more, the person enters the psychosis area. In the West, we have been so used to dividing persons into thinking and feeling persons. In essence, and in some belief system in the East, we acknowledge that there are three centers of consciousness: the head, the heart, and the gut. We have all these three essences, our centers. We have all three centers. But one center is more dominant than the other two. And when something, and when the person is facing a harsh reality, usually the one center prevails. That's the dominant center. It is where the person gets the energy to respond to the situation one is confronted with. So the three centers of energy in essence is the head, the heart, and the gut. I think we have to pause here.
You. Okay, thank you.
There are 16 essences in my module or in my essence theory. And and every person belongs to one of these essences. The next video will demonstrate how participants of mine have acknowledged themselves in particular centers. So I'll be presenting somebody who is from the head center and has identified her essence from this. I will present somebody who models the heart center and the gut center. So the video will be presented. So there are three centers of energy: head, heart, and gut. And you said you accepted that you are a head person. Can you, based on
Yes po.
So, head-centered persons have the brain and the central nervous system as the physical organs of consciousness. Often, their physique is characterized by a flat chest and an elongated body that suggests fragility and delicacy of structure and little in the way of muscular development. They are usually shy and timid. At times, they can have a frightened look about them, brought about by dark scenarios they have contrived in their minds. They avoid looking at persons straight in the eye, particularly when they are dealing with difficult characters. Uh, So personally, sister, the only thing siguro that I do not agree about this would be yung physique, yung character ng physical characteristic kasi hindi po ako matangkad and hindi rin po ako flat-chested. So siguro if there anything that I don't agree with this is yun lang po. But it's very accurate when it describe me as a shy and timid person. So hindi po ako sociable. Oftentimes nasa kwarto lang ako mag-isa. I always reflect my day-to-day experiences po, and it's also right that I since I always reflect, ang dami ko ring nabubuong mga scenario sa isip ko, which sometimes it's very dark na kahit ang layo namang mangyari, since I always think like 5 steps ahead kung ano yung mangyayari talaga in the future. Yun nga, yung tendency would be, it would be dark scenarios, laging negative, and which causes me to be to freak out at the smallest things, that I tend to blow out of proportion dahil dun sa mga tendencies na yun. And it's also correct that I avoid looking at persons straight in the eye, especially if those are people na I know would be difficult characters for me. Kasi I'm very thorough po when it comes to authority, yung pagiging authoritative ng yung mga strong characters. So um since I tend to overthink a lot, so ayun din po yung tendency ko. So I think yung description ng head-centered person in this text is very accurate and proper for me po.
So did you understand yourself better after the session?
Yes po. Before I attended the seminar po, I often ask myself why I act like this. Kasi I have friends po who are very extroverted and who are very spontaneous. But I'm someone who always overthink things. Ang tendency ko would be, ano sasabihin ni ganito? Paano kung ganito yung gagawin natin? Sa kanila parang super dali lang mag-decide. Pero sa akin, kailangan bago tayo mag-proceed dito, dapat alam ko kung ano yung step-by-step process, dapat alam ko kung ano yung rules. And after I attended the seminar, na-realize ko na, kaya pala ako ganun. Because head-centered person nga ako. So, I can't be that spontaneous without worrying myself. Kasi nga, yun nga, yung head ko lagi dapat, yung head ko yung mas pinapairal ko over my gut and over my heart. So yun po, I understood myself better than before.
Okay, thank you. Now the next. So there are 16 essences, and we have identified you as the ascetic intellectual. Can you read this?
Yes po. So, ascetic intellectuals are serene and reflective. The brilliant, honest, ascetic intellectual can be earnest and sacrificing and truthful in her relationships. One can sense the purity of heart and unpretentious intentions of the ascetic intellectual. Prudent and humble, she can simple in her taste. Reserved, she can be very spiritual, reflective, and prayerful. Intelligent, she can be very ethical and arrogant about her moral rectitude. Cautious, she can be very discreet in her relationships. The ascetic intellectual who is gifted with a light energy that enables her to be ascetic and austere becomes more attentive to the needs of the spirit than that of the body. Innocent looking, she doesn't engage herself in this world earthiness. She can be very guilty when she acts otherwise. At times she feels she does not belong to the company of the children of this world. She has a different set of values altogether and can therefore feel out of place. She can appear suspicious of people and occasionally seems to be watching them from the corners of her eyes.
Okay. How was it when you read it?
Just like nung kanina po, being a head person, for me, yung description po of an ascetic intellectual really suits me, especially dun po sa situation ko when I'm with my group of friends. Kasi my group of friends are very childish, they're very spontaneous, they're very extroverted, unlike me. So most of the time po, I'm just left on a corner observing them, and I think or they often say that I'm more mature than them. So may mga trips sila na hindi ko nasasakyan kasi I know that it's not appropriate for your age. So ayun, so most of the time, yes po, na out of place ako. Um and I enjoy just being on the corner, observing people, which is why siguro po most of the time then people tend to think that I'm a snob kasi nga hindi po ako yung sociable kind of person. And for me that was a big discovery na after nitong seminar na 'to na-realize ko na ganito yung essence ko, na yung essence ko is reflective. Kasi it's very true na reflective po talaga ako, palaisip ako yung mga simpleng bagay, parang kailangan laging may deeper meaning, and yung mga steps na kailangan ko i-take, dapat lahat ng bagay kino-consider ko, especially if may instructions. So yung tendency ko parang nagiging OA ako, and I think dun sa book din po there was a description sa ascetic intellectual that we tend to talk a lot theoretically, which uh, minsan di na namin napapansin na yung kausap namin ay nabo-bored. So hindi ko po alam kung nabo-bore ka na, sister, sinasabi ko ngayon. Pero ayun po. So it really helped me knowing that na okay, pumreno ka minsan, na wag kang tuloy-tuloy na kung ano lang yung sinasabi mo na from this topic magjo-jump sa ganitong topic. So yun po, parang mas naging aware ako dun sa mga ganun kong mannerisms. It made me know myself more. It helped me keep myself in check. And for me, that's another kind of personal development po.
Okay. So were you happy that you took this session, this webinar?
Yes po, super happy po ako. Actually, last night when I was talking to June po, we were talking about this particular topic, yung essences. Kasi nga, we're trying to know each other more as a person, parang deeper understanding na rin to have a better relationship, and na bring up namin tong essences. And it was very helpful kasi mas naintindihan din po namin yung isa't isa. Parang yung mga nawiwirduhan kaming personality ng isa't isa, minsan parang nabigyan ng clarity. So this was very helpful and effective for me and for us po. Sa aming dalawa po actually.
Thank you very much, Jan, for your time.
Thank you din po. Thank you po,
Able to
sister.
come out right now. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Next is Ben. Ben, where are you?
Hi, yes po, sister. Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon. And you are a heart-centered person.
Yes po, sister.
Okay. What did you discover during the workshop?
Yun nga po, na-discover ko po na heart-centered person ako. Kaya ako naintindihan na kung bakit parang halos lahat ng decision ko nakadepend po sa emotion or kung ano na-feel ko that moment. Yun po.
Before you knew you were a heart-centered person,
Ano po?
bago mo na laman na heart-centered person ka, ano akala mo about yourself?
Akala ko po gut person ako kasi malakas po kasi yung intuition ko. So akala ko gut person ako. Tapos hindi naman po pala. Nagkakataon lang na heart person ako pero mas pinapakinggan ko yung gut ko kaysa sa heart ko.
Okay. Then we said this is your essence of the 16 essences.
Yes po, sister. Hello po, sister.
You can read it out loud.
The kind, one is inspired by the everlasting kindness of the kind who will always extend a helping hand to those who need her. Compassionate, she is forgiving. A natural peacemaker, she is not able to withstand conflict in the group. Altruistic, she will always think of the needs of others first before her own needs. An amiable companion, the kind is the model spouse who will be caring, loving, understanding, prayerful, and family-oriented. The energy of the kind is so warm and consoling that people always want to be around the kind. Ever giving in to requests, the kind is a person who is loved by so many people. How happy these persons are in the company of the kind, and how delighted they are for every opportunity that they will have to visit the kind who understands, advises, and consoles them.
How do you like what happened to you when you came to know that you are kind?
Um, nung, nung nalaman ko po na kind ako, nung una hindi ko talaga matanggap. Kasi iba naman po yun sa alam kong ako. Tapos, pero nung yung sa reflection po, tapos binabasa ko po yung book nyo, na-realize ko na oo nga, mukhang kind naman po ako. Tapos yun nga po, sister, di ba po yung nagtatanong po ako sa inyo kasi nung una nga po, di ko talaga matanggap. Tapos, dun ko po na-realize na kaya po pala kapag kahit sinasabihan na nga ako na ng mga friend ko, tanga-tanga mo naman. Paulit-ulit ka nang niloloko niyan. Kinagbibigyan mo pa rin. Mga ganun po. Para kasi sa akin, parang, alam ko, oo, pero kailangan niya ng tulong. So, kailangan namang hindian ko. Parang ganun po kasi yung pakiramdam. Parang hindi ko po kaya silang hindian. Na alam kong may maibibigay ako sa kanila. Pero kahit na parang nakakapagod na din po. Tapos pag tinatry ko naman na parang, halimbawa, sila na parang, hindi ko napapansinin yan, ganyan. Hindi rin naman masaya sa pakiramdam. Tapos yun po, na-realize ko na kaya po pala yung parang depende ako sa mga kasama ko. Pagkagalit sila, parang masama na rin pakiramdam ko po.
Nakikisama ka.
Po?
Nakikisama ka.
Opo. Kahit parang, minsan parang, nahihirapan na din po ako, pero tinatry ko pa rin na para maging okay yung pagsasama ng mga tao.
So what happened nung malaman mo na kind ka?
Mas naging po ako, confident sa sarili ko na hindi naman pala ako tanga. Hindi naman ako gano'n. Parang natural response ko lang po pala yun. Na parang, akala ko kasi bakit ako, parang sila parang di na nila mapatawad. Pero bakit ako parang nakakalimutan ko, kunting kwento-kwento lang sa akin, nakakalimutan ko yung yung ginawa sa akin. Yun po, parang, okay, so ganito naman pala ako. So, natural response ko lang pala yun, na kaya kong magpatawad, ganyan. Tapos, yun po, mas naging confident ako sa sarili ko, tapos mas nakilala ko sarili ko. So, parang, may guide na po ako kung paano ko itatakal yung dati nga po kasi distorted. Parang hindi ko alam kung saan ako papunta, tapos nagkakaroon ako ng depression dahil doon. Parang ang gulo na. Tapos ngayon po, naintindihan ko na, kasi pala, maling-mali na ako dun sa essence ko. Hindi na po pala ako in tune dun sa essence ko. Kaya pala nagkakaganon na ako. Tapos, yun nga po dahil heart din po ako, mas naglilisan ako dun sa gut ko, mas pinaiiral ko yung gut ko. Kaya parang yung mga actions ko, mali-mali na din po. Yun po. Tapos, ngayon po, actually ngayon po natutuwa ako kasi ngayon December, madalas po kasi pagka December na, holiday season na, nade-depress na po ako niyan. Pero ngayon po hindi, masaya po ako. Masaya po ako na ngayon ko na-appreciate ang holiday season. Yun po. Tapos, yun po, ang inaano ko na lang po ngayon yung magre-reflect, lalong mag-reflect para sa sarili, mas makilala ko sarili ko, mas matanggap ko po yung dapat kong gawin. Matanggap ko sa sarili ko na yun ang essence ko and i-work out para maging balancing tao. At mas maging attune po sa essence.
So, this seminar helps you?
Yes po, sobra po. Kasi kaya nga, sa totoo lang po nung sinabi to sa akin ni Ate Sena po, hindi po ako, parang nag-doubt po ako kung gagawin ko ba to hindi. Pero sabi ko, wala naman akong gagawin. Di naman to makakabawa sa pagkatao ko. Sige, a-attend ako ng seminar na to. Tapos yun po, talagang, sabi ko nga po si Sir, di ba, gusto ko pa. Sabi si Sir, gusto ko pa, para ganun po. Kasi sobrang na-enlighten po ako. Na parang, grabe yun sinabi lang sa akin na ganun. Tapos parang, ang daming realizations. So yun nga po, sobrang enlightened. Na-enlighten ako na parang, kaya pala. So parang lahat po ng questions ko sa sarili ko, lahat ng doubts, nasasagot ko na po. Based din po din sa turo nyo po na andyan lang yung kasagutan. Itanong mo lang sa sarili mo, andyan lang yan.
So essence shifts the argument from nurturance to nature. The main teachings of essence is a person is a subject, gender equality, racial equality. From the moment of conception, a person already is. A person is born within the matrix of a particular milieu and expresses oneself in that milieu. The baby of the essence has similar qualities to the adult of the essence. These two are not related at all, but they have the same essence. I said earlier that I do not recognize the feminine and masculine traits. Essence teaches gender equality. The man and woman of the same essence look alike and they have the same personality features. This man is, this man is Filipino and this man is Korean, transracial, transgender. The man and the woman who are of the same essence often look alike and they have the same traits. This person is Filipino and she is Filipino and they look alike and they have the same traits. This man is Filipino and this woman is Filipino, and they belong to the same essence and they have the same traits. We have been so used to the masculine, that every boy, every male is masculine or has masculine traits of being strong, courageous, firm, determined, rational, logical, analytical, objective, and direct. This child does not have these traits. And when this child grows up, he will be like this man, this adult. And they don't have these traits. The usual feminine traits of fearful, fickle, emotional, soft-hearted, intuitive, subjective, frivolous, roundabout, weak, is not recognized by the essence theory as belonging only to a woman. Because a child might have an essence that does not have this. And when she grows up, she becomes like this adult, and they do not have these traits. These traits belong particularly to certain essences, not necessarily to a woman. A woman and man with a particular trait might have these same traits, might have all these traits. So this is the gender part of essence. We go to the trans-racial aspect of essence. These people belong to the same essence. This is Filipino, this is American, this is Maltese, this is Cebuana, Filipino, Bangladeshi, Spanish, Malaysian, all of them from different countries belong to the same essence. They will read the same trait of essence or essence in my book. How does one grow in essence? One is for the individual to assume responsibility for the self. The individual, she should own her qualities. And she should increase in intentionality. When she will do something, she will have to ask herself, why am I doing this thing? Why am I saying this? Increase in intentionality so that one can contain oneself, self-containment. And then if one has to say something or do something, if the person is aware, she can at least intervene in her own initial responses to situations. Another way of growing in essence is by mobilizing the weakest center. So if your heart, if your head, your weakest center might be your gut. So you have to mobilize your gut to balance off your head. If you are a heart person, and your main center, your weakest center is head, you have to mobilize your head center or develop your thinking processes to balance the movement of your heart. If you're a gut and your gut initiatives are supported by energy from the head, you have to mobilize your heart so that you can balance your gut your gut movements. Another way of growing in essence is through friendship. A friend can always tell us what is negative about us. And when we accept that, we are able to do something with our behavior. We need friends to tell us what is wrong with us. Another way of growing is understanding how one gets across. In Filipino, we say, dating. Alam mo ba kung ano ang iyong dating? Do you know how you get across? We sometimes do not know how we get across. We need other persons to tell us how we get across. And then in our introspection, we begin to understand why we get across in a particular way. Another way of growing is learning from somebody of the same essence. So we observe people and we watch them. And if you're aware of somebody who comes from the same essence as yours, you can at least try to learn from that person's behavior. And of course, one way of growing is integration in prayer through Jesus Christ. We balance ourselves. We mold ourselves in prayer. And so we become a person who is capable of growth. That ends my presentation.
Thank you, Sister Rivka, for your time and expertise. Understanding our essence is indeed useful for personal and career development, as our essence is congruent to the career we had chosen. Essence is everything about a person, and it provides the parameters of behavior available to a person. A person's face holds the key to one's essence. Thank you for sharing with us this new paradigm in terms of self-awareness that will guide us and enhance our career. To our viewers, to know more about this new paradigm known as Essence, you may attend the webinar, avail of personal consultation, counseling, and team building. You may reach out or contact Sister Rivka in the following numbers: Globe 0966 542 7028 or Smart 0961 444 3238. Thank you and see you again in our next episode.